Welcome back to Wrestling with Power. I am your host, Mr. Mosley, joined as always by the incomparable,
Lake Vic here in the flesh.
of course, my tag team partner in crime, and today is... What is today, Vic?
Today is December, early December.
Today is Saturday, December the 6th. We're recording a few days later than usual because we have responsibles. And we have stuff we have to do. We can't just sit around. You can still sit around and smoke weed and drink all day, but, you know,
You still
got
got to wake up the next day. You got responsible.
Exactly. So, we are live once again on Twitch right now. And obviously our episode will be up on the YouTubes and the Spotify's later. Our last episode last week did pretty good on views on YouTube so far. And all things considered, all things combined, I think it did pretty well. I noticed one thing that I was not doing, Slick Vic, that I actually did on the last episode. So, you know, we're almost 20 episodes in, and I hadn't put a tag on any single episode that we've done. So, like, how's people going to find it? But I added some tags on the last episode, so I think that helped a little bit.
All right.
But today, today is episode 19. We're going to be talking about Survivor Series WarGames 2025. We've got some news to go over, the SmackDown review from November the 28th, the Raw review from December the 1st, and we're going to be doing a little more this day in wrestling history. And also, the Gigawatt Scale's coming back tonight for Survivor Series. Also, Slick Vic's picks, the results from the picks last week. Of course, there were 4 matches on the Survivor Series card. Slick Vic made his picks. We now have the results, and we'll be going over those as we do our Survivor Series review. Now, Slick Vic, do you have a gimmick tonight? I couldn't see it. You were obscuring the gimmick.
I got a little bit of a gimmick this week. It's my precious.
Ooh, that is nasty looking.
Unfortunately,
it don't make a noise
anymore. No,
okay.
the battery must be dead because he used to be able to press the button. He'd say, "My precious."
That's a keychain?
It does actually have like a little chain on it, but you know, if you want to carry this giant thing around in your pocket all day, feel free.
You should turn that into just a Christmas ornament. That looks like a Hallmark ornament.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
No, normally I put this guy on my DVD shelf or my Blu-ray shelf. He's there sitting right in front of the box set for Lord of the Rings. He's, you know, kind of guarding it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Smeagol or Gollum.
Awesome. You know what we should have been doing, and I'd say it might be hard to do at this point, but we need to get a picture of your gimmick every episode and throw it up on the YouTube. Not the YouTube, I'm sorry, the Facebook page. Too many socials. Too many socials going on. Well, Slick Vic, what do you want to talk about?
Well,
We'll talk some news and see what's been going on in the world. You want to jump into the reviews? It's your call.
Well, the first thing I want to say is non-wrestling related, but just you and I talk about this all the time. Figure might as well throw this out there, you know. R.I.P. Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa, a.k.a. Shang Tsung from the Mortal Kombat movie from 1995.
Yeah.
Good movie. I have very, very fond memories of watching that movie. I saw it in the theater twice as a youngin. I mean, it wasn't R-rated, but I saw that in the theater twice. You know, I remember there was let's see, Sub-Zero kills that one guy in the I was gonna say the food court, but you know, at the dining room scene.
Yeah.
There was other fatalities like there's a pit fatality in that movie.
The pit fatality, yeah, Liu Kang to Shang Tsung. There was, well, the fatality Johnny Cage killed Scorpion, which wasn't really, that was more like a Kung Lao fatality almost, where he slices him with the thing.
Yeah, but
then he explodes.
There's a friendship there. A
Yeah,
nod to a friendship.
The friendship to my best fan.
That was my favorite fight scene. My favorite fight scene was Johnny Cage and Scorpion in that movie.
Yeah. Mine too. I like how he's just randomly in a forest, and then he's in hell, and then all of a sudden he's randomly back on the island.
Yeah. Let's see. You know, the guy who plays Kano in that movie was so good that they retconned the backstory for Kano in Mortal Kombat, the original Mortal Kombat game, to make him Australian.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that actor, too, is no longer with us, so him and Shang Tsung are now reunited.
Yeah. Reunited in the Nether Realm, I'm assuming.
The Nether Realm. Outworld.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
But
yeah.
Shang Tsung in that movie was excellent. I'm a stickler a little bit when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I kind of wish Shang Tsung had been an older guy, like a creepy old guy, like he was in the first game. But you know what? It's okay. We got sort of a Mortal Kombat 3-esque Shang Tsung in that first movie, and he did a really, really good job. And he for the rest of his life played off of that too. When he would go to like conventions and stuff, right? Like he was always doing the Shang Tsung quotes and voices, and really good stuff.
He's had a very prolific career, but all the headlines say Shang Tsung or Mortal Kombat actor or Shang Tsung actor passes.
Yeah.
So that's his defining role for sure, is Shang Tsung.
He had several other movies, and there was one that a lot of people kept mentioning that I haven't seen, so I don't remember the title of it. But didn't he play a guy named like Johnny something in one of those movies?
Maybe. I'm not
Johnny
sure.
Tsunami. Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah. Shout out to Bronson Reed.
There you go. Yeah, we've seen a few tsunamis this past Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, R.I.P. to Shang Tsung, man. And I have to watch some Mortal Kombat in memory.
I wish I could tie that into wrestling somehow. I wish like there was some Mortal Kombat or Shang Tsung references in wrestling, but I'm drawing a blank. We'll move on. We'll tie it around. We'll just steer the ship back to wrestling then.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about some more wrestling news here, because when we get to these reviews, like I say, there's going to be a lot to go over. So let's look at some of this stuff here. I've got some news articles, Slick Vic.
Yeah.
Got a few in particular. All right, let's go to the oldest one, because I have a few over the past week. See if you've come across any of these. Vic and I haven't discussed the news articles. I just kind of like take snapshots when I see something interesting, and then that's, bring it up now. But I can't really. The whoever wrote this, it says the wrestling something, so their entire name isn't visible to me. But it was on Facebook. And apparently this has to do with Andrade, who says, and we've talked about Andrade before, him coming back to the WWE, his departure from AEW, returning to WWE, and then vice versa, his departure from WWE, returning to AEW for like one night, and then finding out he's not allowed to wrestle for like a year. So this has to do with that, his non-compete cause. And it was an interview that he was doing where he explained his situation, where he says, and this is quoted from this post that I snapshotted here, in an interview with Deport TV, Andrade officially explains his current situation. He returned to WWE to be with his ex-wife Charlotte Flair until they got divorced. And up until then, they shared a lawyer who signed his last WWE contract. He claims his wellness policy violations were for supplements that were supposedly legal in Mexico but not in the U.S. or WWE. This lawyer did not realize that the WWE contract had a 12-month no-compete clause explicitly stipulated which former WWE star and lawyer David Otunga affirms does exist in WWE contracts in a video he did on the topic last month. Andrade says he's had to hire a new lawyer to challenge the original 12-month no-compete, and now he claims they're in the process of negotiating it down to the usual 90-day no-compete that we're used to, except his ban is worldwide and not just restricted to the U.S. Andrade says his lawyer and WWE's teams are nearly reaching an agreement, as it will be 3 months since his WWE release this coming December the 13th. So, he's got a week before that 3-month release period is up. We'll see what happens. I don't see it changing myself. But
like he's going to stay the 12 months, you think?
I think so.
What do you mean?
And
Okay.
I'm not used to these things getting resolved quickly. So if December 13th is the 3-month period and it doesn't get resolved and then they keep going to court, eventually it's going to be 12 months anyway. You know what I mean? They're going to ride it out.
Right.
So I don't see why he just doesn't take some more time off. I don't think anybody's really dying to see Andrade right now anyway.
Right. I'm not, at least.
Yeah, I don't care. He's going to be on AEW anyway, and, you know. Next up, Slick Vic. Bill Goldberg has revealed that he might be planning to come out of retirement to have one more dream match. He is open to considering AEW. He did, this is from the Wrestling Corner, and apparently he did maybe an interview somewhere where he said, "I got one more in me." What do you think about Goldberg having one more dream match?
No, you don't need another match. I completely understand them cutting you off when you were having your little retirement speech, but nah, you don't need another match. That match you had with Gunther was good enough. You're not gonna have a better match than you had with Gunther.
No,
unless your next match is just a squash where you just spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, and that's it.
you also have to consider if he does go to AEW, who would he even work with in AEW? Like, there's nobody that's really a big star in AEW that he could work with. Maybe outside of, like, Moxley, but Moxley has the shittiest, like, hardcore death matches. You know, that's his thing, and Goldberg's not going to do that.
Maybe Goldberg can spear him through like a bed of spikes or something.
Yeah. Goldberg hits him with a spear, and all of a sudden, he's bleeding out of his face.
Fatality.
That would be a Moxley thing to do. I don't know, but it's interesting. But I'm with you. I don't think he needs one. I do wish that his retirement had been better. It should have been planned out better, and it should have been executed better. But it wasn't, and we got what we got. And so, you know, anything he does from here on out, I think, is going to taint his reputation a little bit. Next up, breaking. Well, this was breaking whenever I first snapshotted it. But this is some more Chris Jericho news. WWE TKO have officially offered Chris Jericho a return to the company and has informed him of the formative creative direction they are going to execute if this were to come to fruition. The essential idea is to work towards a retirement for Jericho and his contributions to wrestling in WWE. This was posted on Liddy Wrestling Facebook.
Well, next year is AJ Styles' last year. Would Jericho's ending come in 2026? Would that come in 2027? I imagine Jericho would probably sign like a 3-year deal, maybe.
You know, that would probably be something that he would do. But I think Jericho is to the point where, like, it's over for him. You know what I mean? He's done everything. I'm not saying that he can't still go. Obviously, though, his prime's behind him. You know, I think that WWE would give him a fantastic send-off. but in the same year as AJ, I know what you're saying there. Might be hard to do, but then again, that might be awesome. I don't remember AJ and Jericho ever wrestling each other. Maybe they probably did. I don't know.
They did. Yeah, that was AJ's. That was like one of AJ's first WrestleMania was against Jericho.
Okay. So there's a little bit of history there. Maybe they can work it out. Have to see what happens.
I really hope we don't do this yearly where, okay, to this year's John Cena's retirement, next year's AJ's retirement, the year after that is Jericho's retirement.
Yeah.
I don't think AJ is going to get the same pomp and circumstance that John Cena is getting right now. I think AJ is going to have a pretty normal wrestling year where maybe the last like 3 months they might hype up that he's wrapping up.
Yeah.
But I can't see him doing what they're doing with John Cena right now for him.
Well, he's tag team champion right now, so he's still in a run. And, they haven't really said any plans are in place, so I think you're right about that. I don't think it's going to be nearly, who would get the pomp and circumstance of John Cena?
That's currently active on the roster?
That's a WWE guy. I mean, AJ has been a WWE guy for a while now, but he came up in TNA and had some time spent in Japan and all that stuff that he kind of was built up before he got there. And he's not like a homegrown WWE guy.
The only name that comes to mind, and you can debate this too, is Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, he didn't start off in WWE. He was in WCW for many years.
Yep.
But Ray's been in WWE since 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
And he's arguably the greatest luchador of all time. That mask is very infamous. Bret Hart did an interview recently where, among many things he said that Rey Mysterio might be the best wrestler ever.
Wow.
High praise coming from Bret Hart. Bret Hart's not really known for, shitting on Goldberg and shitting on other people, claiming people are lovers.
Yeah.
But he had very high marks. He had top praise for Rey Mysterio Jr.
That's true. And like you said, coming from Bret Hart, that means a hell of a lot. El Dandy probably felt the same way at one point in time, I
mean, who are you to question El Dandy? Who am I to question El Dandy? I mean, come on. This guy is, he's a legend. He's like, El Grande Americano is like the second coming of El Dandy.
That's true. I agree. Man, Bret Hart, he's so stale sometimes, but like, there's little moments where he just he's great. Like his delivery is awesome. That was one of them. All right, we got a couple more left, Vic. Well, what about this one here? So CM Punk's dog Larry has passed away. That news has been making the rounds. Obviously, CM Punk was one of the proudest owners of his pet ever. He had it embroidered on his outfits and very proud of his dog. And unfortunately, the little guy's passed away. I looked up some pictures of him. He does look like he was pretty old. But sad news.
Yeah. R.I.P. Larry. That dog was at the Brawl Out incident, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
That dog's been through a lot, man. He saw things that many people didn't, and there's NDAs involved in a lot of those people, but that dog saw it all.
Yeah, he did. I was reading that I think that they had rescued him from some kind of place in Chicago 5 years ago. Maybe they've had him like 5-6 years, something like that. So, he was like a rescue, like a shelter dog that they got, took in, probably had the best life ever for the last 5 years. So, yeah, it sucks, but R.I.P. little guy. Last news is a big one, Slick Vic. I really want to know what you think of this. Actually, I'm sorry, this is not the big news I was thinking about. I don't have a screenshot of the big news, so there's two more left. Surprise, surprise. This one is actually a different one. So, the Ringside roster posted, President Carlos Silva announces that the WWE TNA partnership will continue with a new TV deal. Long story short, in 2026, starting in 2026, TNA will be on AMC Network.
I actually did hear about this. I saw the headline. I didn't read the article, but yeah. TNA is coming back to TV, huh? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Which means NXT stars will be able to jump onto that. Will be on that channel, on AMC at least, and vice versa.
They've still got the partnership with WWE going, so it's going to be interesting. They're starting to. I mean, I don't know who owns AMC. It's not on this article, or on this post, but with the partnership with WWE, I mean, that's a big reach, because WWE has Netflix and ESPN is part of Disney, and it's all encompassing, and they're kind of taken over a little bit, which leads me to actually the last bit of news, that Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery, again, I don't know what all they own, but I know the big one is like HBO Max, which is one of the major streaming services out there. This is a multi-billion-dollar deal. They paid a lot of money for this deal.
$82 billion.
$82 billion for this deal. Now, what is not included is the TBS, TNT channels that will apparently become part of a new publicly traded something or another, but who cares? Those are cable channels, and cable's dying anyway. But the big thing about this is AEW is believed to be partially owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, and maybe a significant chunk of that company is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. AEW is shown on HBO Max every week. Dynamite. Maybe Collision, I'm not sure. But I know Dynamite is, and I know that their pay-per-views are shown on HBO Max too. You still have to pay for them, but you get like a cheaper rate or whatever. But that's big news, because now that Netflix owns that, what's going to happen to AEW going forward? I don't think we're not going to worry about WWE, but like, are they both going to coexist? I'm not sure how that would fly.
That would be really interesting to see, like a new ratings battle for, clicks on Netflix between AEW and WWE.
Yeah.
It'd be a new ratings battle, so to speak. But this is huge news, man. I wish I actually, it's funny. We started this show off talking about Mortal Kombat, and I could have totally wrapped it around to this Netflix thing, because now Netflix, with them owning Warner Brothers, they own Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. They own Harry Potter. They own Game of Thrones. They own all the HBO shows. They own HBO Max. They even own
Welcome to Derry now.
There's so much. There is so much under the Netflix umbrella now. It's almost like fatality to so many. So many
brutality.
Things.
Yeah,
brutality for sure.
But that's big news, and it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. In terms of wrestling, I mean, you can talk in terms of everything else, like you were just mentioning, all the shows, the streaming service itself. Will HBO Max even continue to be a thing, or will it just get absorbed by Netflix and be just one giant thing?
Yeah. So DC Comics is now owned by Netflix. All of DC Comics, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Wow.
The whole shebang.
Maybe they'll make good movies now.
Maybe. Yeah. Or they'll restore the Snyderverse. We'll see.
Yeah. I think that's dead. That just needs to go away. Poor DC, man. And I like DC stuff, but Jesus. It's been rough on them.
Jesus.
There were 5 of them. All right, well, that's all I got in news. Slick Vic, and a lot's been going on, but let's talk a little bit about this past week in WWE, if you can lead us off with the SmackDown review. And, of course, we're going to do it in order. SmackDown 11/28, Survivor Series was on 11/29 the very next night, and then Raw was on 12/1. Vic is going to help me out a little bit on Raw, too, because I don't have complete notes for the Raw review. I have a lot of them, but Vic's going to help me out on that as well. But let's talk about some SmackDown first. Why don't we?
Don't worry, man. When it's time, just give me the hot tag and I'll come right in.
All right, that's what we're here for.
SmackDown 11/28, Denver, Colorado. The show kicks off with a backstage promo from L.A. Knight. Yeah. He strongly feels he should have a bye in the tournament, but he's once again facing a mystery opponent, which he does not like at all. He says the tournament is really starting to piss him off, and he wants to set John Cena back to factory settings. Good line.
Yeah.
So then we get a semifinals match in the last time is now a tournament between Jey Uso and Rusev. So the match begins where Rusev comes out strong and immediately starts pummeling Jey. Jey fires back with a second rope, like fist punch, whatever you want to call it. But Rusev shrugs it off and hits a slam. We go to break, and when we return, Rusev has a bear hug locked in. Jey escapes and does his yeet punches. Rusev goes for the accolade, but Jey counters, sends Rusev outside, hits a dive, but then back in the ring. Jey hits a Samoan drop and a spear, but Rusev kicks out at 1. Jey goes to the top but eats a Machka kick. Well, almost. He completely missed it, but Jey still sold it. Jey goes to the top but eats I already said that. Nonetheless, Rusev locks in the accolade, but Jey gets to the ropes. There's lots of John Cena taunting now from Rusev, which results in him eating a spear and a splash. 1, 2, 3. Jey wins the match. My thoughts: not terrible, but I'd still put it below run of the mill. The Machka kick missing looked bad. And while the winner wasn't entirely predictable, the match wasn't really exciting, and I just didn't care. I wasn't really high on either of these guys. In my mind, neither of them are winning this tournament. So there was no heat from me. What say you, Mr. Mosley?
Yeah, same. I mean, I like Rusev, and I've mentioned in previous episodes how I wish that he was pushed more. I liked him before, when he was in WWE before he left. Thought he was on a pretty good hot little streak, but man, he's working a lot. He's working every week, but it's not interesting, and it's gotten stale. And I don't like Jey Uso that much. I'm sorry. I'm just not biggest fan. So, snooze fest.
Okay. Well, there's a whole bunch of backstage segments and a promo after this. Are you ready?
Sounds about right.
Backstage, the Miz wants back into the tournament. But I got to say, Miz swapping the name of the ball in Aldis's hand was pretty funny, I'll admit. But I don't want to see the Miz in the match. I don't
Too bad.
Really. And then, did you catch that, by the way? Did you catch the Miz swapping his name out and putting his in?
No, I didn't until you just mentioned it. Now I'm trying to think of when it happened.
Yeah, what's it called? R-Truth came in and was doing his shtick, and while Aldis was distracted by that, Nick, what's his name? The Miz swapped the name inside the ball with his own name.
Yeah,
and then Aldis looks at it and goes, "I can't believe it." Backstage, Damian Priest says he doesn't know what Aleister Black and Zelina are talking about with breaking his code, and I don't know either. I'm like, what is he, Batman? I don't remember this whole breaking the code thing. Did I miss that part? Priest doesn't care. He just wants to kick Aleister's ass. Zelina shows up and taunts Priest, and we see Black lingering in the background, which actually looked pretty good. There was like a flicker of a light, and you saw Aleister Black for a second. So that was kind of cool. They are really dragging this feud out, though, man. I
thought they were done with it.
That's what I thought, too.
I thought they were done. Priest had that pre-recorded segment that he did, which made you seem like it was going to keep going. And then the next week, whatever they did made it seem like it was over. And now they're back.
Right.
Come on.
This is
beating a dead horse.
This is one of many never-ending feuds going on right now.
It's crazy.
Anyways. But then we get a little bit of a reunion with him and Rhea Ripley. The Terror Twins are back. They share a hug. And then in ring, we finally get Chelsea Green's women's U.S. title celebration. And I think they teased it a couple weeks ago. We never got it. I don't even think they said anything about it last week. And here we got it now. Chelsea comes out. She's dressed to the nines. She announces she's officially entered her second term as women's U.S. champion. And she continues to gloat until Jade Cargill comes out and takes out both Alba Fire and Chelsea. And as the continents of the North America collectively mourn, as Michael Cole says. So, quick thoughts. If Chelsea wasn't a comedy heel, I'd probably have an issue with a heel Jade coming out and completely trashing her act. But, you know, Chelsea makes it work. And then backstage, and we continue, the babyface team for the women's WarGames match hype Charlotte up for her match with Asuka later. AJ Lee says she's sure they'll win and gives a little crazy face. And then Jade Cargill says that her attack on Chelsea and Alba was a statement to the entire women's locker room. If they want to step up, they'll get stepped on. She then walks past BFAB and Michin, subtly planting the seeds for a future match. Anyways, that was a lot of talking there, man.
Yeah, a lot.
Anything to add or anything to...
I don't really have anything to add, Slick Vic, to that.
That's fine. So we finally get the semifinals match with The Miz and LA Knight after all those segments. Knight starts off strong with a flurry of offense. Miz fights back with some strikes of his own, but Knight counters into a neck breaker before being sent to the outside. Miz takes control and we head to commercial. When we return, Miz has a sleeper hold locked in, but Knight counters with a back suplex, Russian leg sweep, a jumping neck breaker, followed by the megaplex, only for a 2. Miz fires back, hits the DDT, goes for the skull-crushing finale, but LA Knight counters with the Scorpion Death Drop. I refuse to say reverse DDT. Anyways, Knight heads up to the top for the elbow drop, gets caught. Miz does hit the skull-crushing finale, but Knight kicks out at 2. Miz then locks in the STFU, but Knight reaches the ropes. After a series of counters, Knight lands the BFT for the win. Thoughts? Better than the opening semifinal match. These two definitely had better chemistry, which made for a more entertaining bout. Still, my interest wasn't particularly high because The Miz was involved again, and not to knock on him, he's a fine, competent wrestler, but I just didn't want to see him again in this tournament. I was hoping we'd get a surprise or even any kind of alternate besides somebody who's already in the tournament. But this was a decent match. It had good pace, and I feel the right man advanced. So it is what it is. Any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of The Miz. I didn't really care. And I'm with you. I would rather have saw a surprise opponent, even though it seems like this was something that, so like with Matt Cardona showing up, Zack Ryder, and with Dolph Ziggler showing up, that those had to be planned out in advance. This was probably something that they just could not plan quick enough to slide somebody into that place for an opponent for not. So I understand maybe why they did it the way they did it, but especially considering where it would go, it's sort of like, okay, let's just get through this some way. But yeah, I just wish it had been a surprise opponent. I wasn't really entertained by the match. I wasn't excited to see The Miz in the tournament for a second time, especially losing for a second time. Just didn't make sense. Just felt like a wash.
They couldn't have just, picked up the phone and called somebody from TNA, flown them over, and be like, hey, we got a match for you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Joe Hendry never did show up in the tournament, and a lot of people were thinking that he would be the guy to win it in the final match. Even if he would have been there and lost, it would have still been a lot better.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Joe Hendry being in this tournament should have happened.
Yeah.
And here was your opportunity.
Perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
They blew it.
Knight could have gone in the ring and been, I don't care who it is. He starts naming wrestlers. When he says Joe Hendry, the music hits.
Yeah.
So backstage, we have the heel team of the women's WarGames match. Becky is, hyping up the team by basically putting them all down and saying they should listen to her because she's got a 100% success rate in WarGames matches. She's got a perfect record
A perfect record.
Yeah. Did I say perfect? Time she faced Charlotte, she was out for a whole year, and then starts yelling in Japanese. And then we have a backstage promo with Ilya Dragunov. He's talking about Tama Tonga. Let's see. He was talking about Tama Tonga, but then Tommaso Ciampa comes in. He says he took Axiom's mask, and now he's going to take Ilya's championship. Ilya says he'll think about it. Jackass. Now, here's what I don't get about this whole thing. Why is Ilya ducking Tommaso here so much? It just seems so odd. Isn't this supposed to be an open challenge? Anyone can challenge and get the match. Why does Tommaso have to go through like a process here? Does he need approval from Ilya to have this match? Because I thought it was open challenge. Something about this just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I don't know how you feel about this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he should have had the match with him weeks ago.
Yeah.
Ducking him is not something that Ilya's trying to portray this, honorable, in-ring. He's trying to be this great champion, but he's ducking somebody, so it makes no sense whatsoever. And I understand that he says that, Tommaso is a jackass and he's not honorable, and that's why he won't fight him, but that's stupid. It's silly. It's silly. They're obviously building to a match between the two. And at this point, I got to be honest, Vic, I hope that Tommaso takes the title off of him.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah. I'll show him for calling him a jackass.
He deserves it.
All right. So we have the WarGames advantage match between Asuka and Charlotte. This match starts off with an intense stare down, followed by some serious lockups. They immediately start exchanging kicks on the apron. They go and we go to break. We come back and Charlotte does the corner flop into a boot and a crossbody, which gets reversed. Asuka hits a bunch of heavy strikes, but Charlotte replies with another big boot. Charlotte's on fire here. She hits several chops. Woo! Woo! And then a forward roll clothesline, a follow-away slam, a moonsault, but Asuka kicks out at 2. Charlotte goes for some rolling suplex, but Asuka reverses into one of her own and hits a shining wizard on Charlotte. Asuka locks in a smooth-looking rolling armbar, but Charlotte powers her way out. They fight outside. Asuka gets thrown over the announcer's table, and then Charlotte just kind of stands there. Asuka's nowhere to be seen, at which point I surmised that she was loading up the mist, which is exactly what happened, but the timekeeper got misted instead. But back in the ring, Asuka goes for the Asuka lock. Charlotte counters her way out, hits natural selection for the win. All right, I thought this was decent. I mean, these two have had some really good matches in the past, and this was also another pretty good one. Not as good as some of their best ones. It's not going to go down as a classic or one of their best matches, but it was enjoyable. Had a decent pace, good action. I was a bit surprised that they let the babyface team have the advantage here, which seems kind of odd when thinking about how WarGames matches get booked. But nonetheless, the match was all right. Match was fine. Match was good. Did you have any thoughts on this match?
Same. I thought it was a decent match. Decent for, SmackDown. I wish that the heels had won. I wish that Asuka had won the match. I thought that would have made it more interesting going into WarGames. That's the biggest hiccup, I think, especially considering, which we'll talk about, the outcome. I think that it should have been the heels winning this one.
And then we have our main event. We have a traditional Survivor Series match. I am really happy to call this match because I've been, fanboying over these classic traditional Survivor Series matches for a while. We have Team Sami, which is Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, the Motor City Machine Guns, and Rey Fenix versus the Team Solo or the MFTs. So we have Sabin and Solo start the match. Solo starts wailing away on Sabin, tags in Tonga Loa, who gets a couple shots in, but Shelly gets in and takes control with a front face lock. JC Mateo comes in, but Sabin is still in control, who tags in Sami Zayn. JC hits a boot from Sami and turns it into a swinging back suplex, which is nicely done. And a standing moonsault for a 2. Tama Tonga comes in, hits a springboard splash, and yeah. Solo's back in. Sammy gets in a shot, and both men tag out. Nakamura and Tama come in, and Nakamura is a house of fire. He takes out several men. Now everyone in the match gets involved, and we have a dive from Sabin onto everybody. The Guns then set up an interesting pinning combination that eliminates JC Mateo. And then they showed this graphic where this happened every time somebody got eliminated. They showed this graphic on the screen, which good stuff. I thought it was really cool. It's similar to the Royal Rumble where they were showing all these like stats under the screen. I thought that was a good touch. And then Tama and Shinsuke battle it out. Tama hits the cutthroat, and Nakamura is eliminated. Tonga Loa comes in, and him and Tama get some shots in, and Tonga hits a big spinebuster. However, Phoenix comes back with a Hurricane Rana pin to eliminate Tonga Loa. Tonga comes in, and he dominates Phoenix for a bit. Solo and Sabin come in and hit their. Sabin and Shelley come in, hit their great tandem offense. However, Tala breaks everything up and clotheslines Alex Shelley on the apron. Choke slams Alex Shelley on the apron and eliminates him. Sabin comes in, tries, but he eats a clothesline and gets eliminated. Ray Phoenix grabs Tama's arm and does some old school walking on the ropes, and soccer kicks the hell out of Tala. And looks like he's going to do his little bouncing Hurricane Rana thing, but he hesitates there, which was a little awkward, but nonetheless still looked fine. Tama recovers, cutthroats Phoenix, and he is eliminated. With Sammy the only one left, Tala gets some big shots in. Solo comes in and gets some big shots. Tama does the same, but then he eats a haluva kick out of nowhere and eliminates Tama. Tala and Sammy fight outside. Tala misses a big boot that sends him over the timekeeper's area, and he gets counted out. Solo hits 2 spinning solos. Sammy kicks out. A splash over the top. Sammy kicks out. Sammy reverses a top rope move to a power bomb. Hits the exploder suplex in the corner. Attempts the haluva kick, but gets super kicked, spiked, and Solo wins the match. Post-match, the lights go out. The Wyatt Six show up. Uncle Howdy hits his sister Abigail to take us off the air. All right. So that was a lot, but great pace. The match was good. The Guns looked great, as they always do. I was sad when they got eliminated. Tama Tonga looked really good here. He was the standout from the MFTs. And I didn't like Tama's elimination, though. I mean, Sammy's just getting wailed on. He turns around, he hits a haluva kick, and there he's gone. I hate that shit. I'm starting to get really sick of that shit. Anyways, I would have loved to see more finishers when people got eliminated instead of just like a clothesline in the case of Sabin's elimination. But overall, pretty solid Survivor Series match. I had fun with this one. What say you, Mr. Mosley?
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a great way to end the show. It was definitely the highlight of the show, and I especially liked. It was kind of hard to follow, but it was a lot. It was really fun to watch. I especially liked the ending with the Wyatt Six showing up. I think it begs the question of why this wasn't part of Survivor Series, right? Because they started doing that a few weeks ago. And then it just kind of went nowhere, and now they're kind of feeding back into it a little bit, and it's good shit. And why did they not? One of the reasons, and we'll talk about with Survivor Series, I felt it was lacking. I felt this year's Survivor Series was extremely lacking, and this is one of the reasons, man. They had a good feud here. Why couldn't they have thrown this on the card? I don't know.
I think it would be nice if they have one WarGames match and one traditional Survivor Series match. No need to have 2 WarGames matches. No need to have 2 traditional Survivor Series matches. Just give us one of each.
I am of the opinion that they need to completely redo it. Like we watched, and obviously last week with the retro review of Survivor Series 1990, the setup of the event was drastically different back then. Even for that specific year, it was different. I also started watching, actually it was on Thanksgiving Day, I was sitting there having Thanksgiving dinner and turned on Survivor Series, I want to say it was 98, maybe 99, and watched a good portion of that where it was like one-on-one, and then the winner advances, and then one-on-one. So that it keeps changing and keeps evolving. It feels like it's gotten kind of stale with WarGames. When it first came out, which I think they first brought it back in NXT, and then they decided to do it in the Survivor Series. Was really cool, really interesting. And now, you know, I'm over it. I'm over it. Just go back to just one ring. You know, if you want to do once in a while a WarGames match, have it at a specific pay-per-view for a specific purpose, but it doesn't need to be tied to this PLE. I think we need a fresh start on Survivor Series altogether.
A little reset button.
Yeah, it needs some life put into it, and I think that, like I said, especially with this year's event, which was packed with stars, it was the matches were pretty decent, but I'm with you. I would have just rather had some traditional, if you can say traditional, because like I said, it's been an ever evolving thing, but like a more traditional setup would have been fine.
Right. I'm with you, man.
But
now, thus concludes SmackDown. Before we move to Survivor Series, how about we take a pause for the cause?
Absolutely. We will take a pause. We'll be right back in a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back from our break, and we're going to talk about some Survivor Series WarGames 2025. Of course, this was the most recent PLE. Took place last Saturday, so a week ago from today, and we're splitting it up here. Slick Vic's going to take the first couple matches. I'll take the second two, and do it like only we know how. The right way. All right, so Slick Vic, take it away, sir.
Survivor Series WarGames 2025, November 29th, 2025. San Diego, California. We start off with the women's WarGames match, which is, we have on one side, we have Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, and AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. First off, what happened to the shark cages? I always liked that element, the drama, the tension between the teammates, the little shots they cut back and forth, all of that. I thought that was good stuff. Mosley, did you like the shark cages?
I did, but I didn't necessarily miss them here at the same time. To me, I like what it brought to the overall WarGames Survivor Series event, but I didn't find myself missing it because it wasn't there.
I just remember last year with Roman and CM Punk, all the memes that came out of that when they were just like both like on opposite sides of their same shark cage. I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny.
I'm guessing it probably had something to do with the fact that Brock Lesnar did not want to stand in a shark cage.
Probably not.
I would say that was a deal breaker for him. With like 4 other people, he wasn't going to do that.
Okay, so Asuka and Charlotte start off similar to their SmackDown match. They're the first two in the match, and they trade strikes. Charlotte knocks Asuka down with a shoulder tackle, and it looks like they're teasing the Devil's Kiss. But instead, Charlotte flips Asuka over with her legs a few times. Asuka comes back with kicks between the rings, then kicks in the other ring until Charlotte hits a big boot. So there's a lot of kicking going around. There's more strikes and chops until the countdown hits, and Io Sky is in next, bringing a custom trash can lid with her. They fight over the lid, them being Asuka and Io. Io hits the bullet train knees with the lid in the corner, and she takes control. Becky Lynch then enters with the kendo stick, or if you're an ECW fan, the Singapore cane. Have you heard that term before? The Singapore cane?
Yeah.
ECW, baby. Anyways. And her and Io go at it repeatedly. Charlotte eventually takes the cane away, and Becky and Charlotte have a brief face-off before they start suplexing the others and finally slug it out. Becky grinds Charlotte's face in the cage, and then the countdown comes back up, and Alexa Bliss enters into the fray. Alexa takes down Asuka, then goes after Becky to save Charlotte. Alexa and Charlotte team up for an assisted drop kick type move where she's got her in a suplex position. She kicks Becky. Then we get some double natural selections. I mean, is it the same thing that Alexa does it? I think she does a neck breaker whatever. We get the countdown again. And Kairi Sane enters with a chain wrapped around her fist. She hits Alexa and Charlotte with it, then oddly just drops the chain. And I agree with Cole, like, why toss it away? She eventually picks it up again and hits 2 big punches in Charlotte. Honestly, those shots should have been match enders to me, in my opinion. I'm like, you're getting punched in the face with somebody with a fist wrapped chain?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, wrestling, we're supposed to suspend our disbelief, but come on, a chain wrapped fist, and you punch her in the face, like you hit her 2 big shots. I'm not just talking about just punches. Like, she jumped off the top rope, and Superman punched her with the chain.
Should have been game over.
That should have been game over right there. Wasted as Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Anyways, Kairi saves Asuka by hitting Io with the trash can lid. Then the heels start dancing together, and Becky ties several of the heels with the chain so the Kabuki Warriors can hit stereo drop kicks. Good spot. AJ Lee is in next. Becky tries to hold the cage door shut, so AJ climbs the cage like Spider-Man and dives onto the Kabuki Warriors. She goes after Becky, knocks her down, skips around the ring, skips around the ring, throws her into the cage and hits a Shining Wizard. Kairi saves Becky and starts skipping too, but AJ quickly shuts that down. AJ and Asuka have a brief face-off. Commentary sells it as a dream match before the rest of the heels swarm AJ before the faces save her. I don't know if I ever thought of any dream matches with AJ Lee. She's been gone so long and so out of the limelight. I never pictured AJ Lee in any dream matches.
Yeah, me either.
Okay. Nia Jax enters and crushes Charlotte and Alexa with the running hip attacks into the cage, then wipes out the rest of the baby faces. The heels take control until the countdown comes again, and Rhea Ripley enters. She's wearing a Terrifier-inspired mask, wielding a trash can, and a bunch of kendo sticks.
The mask was awesome.
This gave me Casey Jones vibes. Like, she's holding she's got her weapons, she's got freaking kendo sticks, trash can lid. I don't know. For some reason, it gave me Casey Jones vibes. But yes, that mask was cool. Are you a Terrifier fan?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we talked about this in previous episodes, man. I'm like behind on one movie. I need to watch the third one. Is the third one a Christmas movie?
It is. It's Christmas themed, but it's good. It's really good. I love the third one.
So December is probably a good time to watch that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to watch Terrifier soon.
There you
Review
go.
incoming.
There we go.
Anyways, and Rhea pulls out a black kendo stick and uses it on every heel. That was a nice little touch there. Rhea and Io team up for a fun spot where Rhea puts Kairi in a scorpion, that scorpion submission hold that she does, inside the trash can, while Io bounces off the ropes and drop kicks the can. Nia and Alexa tangle until the final entrant, Lash Legend, arrives. Lash throws several women into the cage, ragdolls Alexa pretty awkwardly, and chokeslams Charlotte. She gets a face-to-face with Rhea, and then misses a brogue kick and hits a powerbomb, but then lifts Rhea and does land the powerbomb. I'm sorry, does land the brogue kick, which the commentators call a pump kick. I'm sorry, it's the brogue kick. Nia and Lash double powerbomb Alexa and Charlotte into the cage, and then into the ring. Becky hits a manhandle slam on AJ, but Io breaks it up. Io gets thrown by Nia and Lash into a group of the baby faces. The Kabuki Warriors hit the Kabuki special on Io with the chain. Again, freaking the chain? Really? I'm sorry, that chain just took me out of the match. That's like a death blow.
It was a very green chain as well.
Yeah, it was bedazzled. No, it wasn't bedazzled. It was just green.
It was like spray painted highlight green.
So Rhea breaks up the pin. And then this is a pivotal moment. Asuka accidentally missed Lash, turning the tide for the baby faces. Charlotte and Rhea give Nia a double suplex, followed by Twisted Bliss. Then there's a surprisingly very wholesome moment, I thought, where AJ tries to hand the trash can to Io, who's on top of the cage, but she just can't reach it. So then Rhea comes up and says, "Hey, you need help?" And AJ goes, "Yes, please." And Rhea lifts AJ onto her shoulders so she can reach and give Io the can. I thought that was really wholesome and sweet. Anyways, we get vintage Io Sky, and she hits a swanton with the trash can and onto all the heels except Becky, who tries to escape the cage. The babyfaces swarm her. She eats a riptide. AJ locks in the Black Widow. Becky taps out, and the match is over. All right, so my thoughts. The match itself, I thought was fine. I thought all the stars, there was a lot of star power in this match. Everyone got their shit in. We got the trash can spot again from Io, which is fine, even though it's probably overdone at this point. I don't think it's going to be the most memorable WarGames match. But you know, my biggest gripe of this whole thing is, as I talked about before, is Kyrie's use of the chain, which, like I said, would normally kill someone. But you know, there's only so much I can just suspend my disbelief sometimes, and that just took me out of it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the match was booked fine. Asuka misting Lash was a good segue for the babyfaces to make their comeback for the win, and the ending was all right with Becky tapping to AJ. Because I'm sure they're gonna have that one-on-one match soon, sooner or later. I don't know if they're gonna hold off till WrestleMania, but that's gonna happen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next. Now, before I give you your thoughts, I want to ask you a question. Like, why do the women do their full entrances when they come to the ring?
I don't know.
It's like their opponent, their team are getting their ass whipped, and they're gonna come, you know, like some of the babyfaces are high fiving the fans.
Yeah.
Or the heels are slowly making their, you know, they're doing their full taunting at the top of the ramp. I'm like, your teammates are getting their asses whipped.
Yeah.
When you see the men do that, I mean, Brock Lesnar does his little, you know, bouncing around the ring, but all the other wrestlers are just swarmed to the ring like Royal Rumble style. And also, isn't there an unwritten rule where you don't use somebody else's trademark moves? Like Jade and Lash both do the brogue kick. I know the commentators call it the pump kick, but come on, that's Sheamus's move.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think there's a bit of leniency when it comes to that these days, but there shouldn't be.
Okay.
There shouldn't be leniency.
But still, even Lash and Jade are both doing the pump kick.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
come up with your own shit, pal.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for stepping in there, Mr. Mosley. I knew I could depend on you for that.
Yeah.
That's why I ask you all the hard questions.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure Sheamus doesn't really care that these women are using his gimmick. All right. What are your thoughts on the women's WarGames match this year?
I thought it was like you. I thought it was decent. I don't think that it's going to be remembered for anything in particular. As a matter of fact, I think when I think of the WarGames match, the first thing that comes to mind, other than the garbage can spot with Io on top of the cage, was Rhea's Terrifier mask, which I thought was cool. And it was unique. And I'm glad that she did not wear that the following night on Raw. I'm glad that that was a one-event use type thing. I can see action figures being made years from now. Survivor Series 2025 Rhea, you know, with that mask on. But I thought it was okay. Yeah, I thought it was fine. It was good. It did what it needed to do. The babyfaces went over in this match. I don't know what you call it, Team Rhea or Team what? I can't think of a good team name for them, but babyfaces win. And we talked about on SmackDown earlier who won the advantage match. That should have been the heels, considering this was the outcome of the Survivor Series Women's WarGames. But I digress. Anyway, one thing I do want to mention that I probably should have mentioned before we started this, with the Gigawatt Scale coming back, I've made some tweaks to it. And I'll explain everything probably in a Facebook post and just put it out there. That way everybody is sort of on board with how I do these things. But one of the biggest, most notable changes is just the fact that I doubled everything. So before we were doing like out of 5, now it's out of 10. All right, easy enough. And for this match, Slick Vic, you want to guess what I gave this match?
A 5?
Boom. You got it. 5 out of 10 gigawatts for the women's WarGames match. Build got a 1 because, you know, this is... the women in this match, some of them, they do have other, like, feuds with each other across the team. But for me and my specific scale here that I'm doing, the MGS for short, that doesn't necessarily count because this is a big team match. So we're talking about building to this specific match, and we know that a little over 2.5 weeks ago, there was, I don't think, anything planned for this PLE. So everything's been whipped up within the last couple of weeks, essentially. That's why I gave it a 1. So 1 out of 2 for the build. Quality got a 1. Emotion, 0.5. Memorable moments, 0.5. Result got a 2. So 5 out of 10 total. And as far as Slick Vic's picks is concerned, Vic, I believe
just about to ask you.
I believe that you made the right call here. Am I correct in that assumption? Am I remembering correctly? I was kind of drunk last week, so.
You are correct.
Inebriated
or not, your memory is intact.
By the time we were done with that show, I was quite gone. But anyway, I've got a new one for you here. It's a good old-fashioned All right, Slick Vic. Good job, man. On to the next match.
The next match for the Intercontinental title, championship, belt, whatever you want to call it. We have Dominic Mysterio versus John Cena. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Anyways, I get to call John Cena's last PLE match here. So John Cena starts with a headlock. Dom pushes him off, and as John hits the ropes, Roxanne Perez trips him, allowing Dom to take advantage. Dom starts hot dogging and grandstanding. He's doing a lot of posing on the ropes. Lots of posing. He stomps on Cena, and as Cena gets up, Raquel punches him. Dom hits the Three Amigos, which I was really surprised he hit because he was doing a lot of showboating as he was doing them, and John took them all. Like this is a good time to say the crowd was really, really hot for this match. Like they're reacting to everything, and they're even booing Dom in his hometown. But up until a few weeks ago, Dom had been getting cheers for the most part. But since he started feuding with John Cena, it's all boos again. They fight outside, and then Dom hides behind the girls. But then Dom takes a cheap shot. He goes for a Hurricane Rana off the barricade that doesn't quite get it and lands on his shoulder. The match is temporarily stopped so the medics can check on him. And while that's happening, Raquel hits Cena with a Tejana bomb, and Roxanne hits the Pop Rocks, and Cena sells them both. Dom suddenly gets Dom suddenly gets up, and it's all rused. Cena hits. He hits Cena with the 619 and the frog splash, but the referee refuses to count because he's angry about being tricked. He ejects both women from ringside. Cena gets up, hits the shoulder tackles, the 5-knuckle shuffle, locks in the STF. Dom reaches for the ropes, and then And then when he gets the ropes, but then Dom unzips his boot. Mm-hmm. When Cena goes for the STFU again, the boot comes off. Dom gets a drop toe hold into the ropes, hits another 619 and frog splash, but Cena kicks out at 2. Cena hits an AA. Dom kicks out at 2. Cena goes for the shoulder tackles once more, but misses the second one and hits the referee instead. This brings out JD McDonough and Finn Balor, and they start wailing on Cena. Then Cena stacks both of them and AAs them. Like a good old-fashioned double AA. Dom grabs the belt, misses a belt shot, and gets AA'd. Cena calls for a referee, but instead, Liv Morgan returns, complete with her entrance music. She gets in the ring. She slaps Dom, which I think she missed. Then hugs Cena. The camera zooms in on her face, and as her smile slowly turns evil, she releases the hug and kicks John right below the belt. Dom hits the 619, a belt shot from Liv Morgan, and a frog splash, and 1, 2, 3, Dominic Mysterio regains the IC title in the dirtiest way possible, as Cole says. Wow. This was a lot of fun. I had a blast watching this one. There was a lot of shenanigans, a lot of craziness, but it worked. I think it worked here. By the way, did you notice how many people interfered in this match? How many people that interfered? There was 5 of them. It took 5 of them.
Jesus! Yeah, it took 5-0. Yeah.
I actually thought for a second that Dom really got hurt here when he landed on the shoulder, because they sold that part well.
Yeah.
If I have any complaints, it would be that I didn't like that the ref didn't count after Dom faked his injury. You know, supposed to be an impartial referee, I guess, whatever. But he was all like, "No, I'm not going to count. You tricked me, but you tricked me. I'm not happy about that." I'm like, count the damn pin.
Yeah.
But other than that, I had a blast with this match. I thought it was fun. It was just, if you want to call it smoke and mirrors, fine. But I had fun. It was just very entertaining to me. How about you? What do you think?
Well, I agree. It was entertaining. It was interesting seeing the gals get their special moves off on Cena and him sell them.
He put them over.
Even though he's like over 6 times bigger than him. Well, bigger than one of them.
Roxanne, at least.
Yeah. It was cool seeing Liv come back. At that point, and they kept, they did the swerve where she slaps Dom, but you can tell that she didn't get all of it, and then she kicks Cena, and, that was interesting. It was a lot of hype around this match with all these things going on, and Cena continuing to kick out until the very end when it was obviously too much. But yeah, I thought it was decent. I was taken back a little bit though by the fact that the in-ring work was a little sloppy. There's a lot of stuff that just stuck out like a sore thumb to me when Cena ate 2 619s and both of them looked weak as fuck. I mean, bad.
They were love taps.
They were love taps that he sold like, it was a brick hitting him in the face. And, it's Cena, so we give a lot of leeway to Cena traditionally over the years for calling spots in the ring loudly and, not being so great here and there. But, it's Cena, so you come to expect a lot of these. Overall, though, Vic, I'll tell you, I gave the match a 4 out of 10 gigawatts on the old MGS. Build got a 2 because this has been building for a while. I mean, this is probably the best built thing. I know it's the best built thing of the entire event. Quality 0.5. Like I said, I was taken back by some of the in-ring work, a little sloppy. Emotion got a 1. Obviously, there was a lot going on there with everybody getting involved. Liv coming back, I think, was the biggest thing, which also brings me to memorable moments. Got a 0.5. Result got a 0 because I think I was vocal about this last time, how I don't think Cena should lose his last 2 matches. I think he's going to lose his last one, obviously. That's what you would come to expect. So I thought it would have been better if, and it like, even with the scale the way I do it now, where you can get up to 2 points per, obviously, like, halves are still a thing. And the whole point of extending it out and making it out of 10 is to give more, instead of just 0, 1, or 2, you've got now, 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5. There's different levels, so it gives a little more leeway to some stuff. But the result, I don't think that Dom should have won. I don't think, with everything considered, it makes sense that he won, the way that they did it. But I just don't think that Dom should have beat Cena here. I think that Cena should have took the championship with him into his final match and then lost it there. But that's me. Slick Vic, what did you guess on this match? Who was going to be the winner?
Dirty Dom. I'd like to thank the Academy.
Yeah. Dirty Dom, and Slick Vic is 2 for 4 as we go into the third match of the night. Anyway, that was a decent, like I said, decent match. Decent match. Next match.
Well, Mosley, take us away. It's time for you to start calling some matches.
It is, yeah, it's time for me to do something here. What do I get paid for around here? The next match is the...
Is that $200 an hour?
Yeah.
Sorry. Put that up. Is that $200 an hour?
Next match is going to be another title, another singles match, Women's World Championship. Stephanie Vaquer, the Women's World Champion, versus Nikki Bella. And I don't think anybody was overly looking forward to this, but I will say that I was pleasantly surprised. All in all, I thought this was a fairly good quality match, and I'll go ahead and say it. I gave it a 1.5 for quality out of 2. That's saying something considering that Nikki Bella was the other half of this thing. Everything she did in the match looked good. I thought that the flow of the match was good. She got her shit in. I mean, she did really good here. But let's talk a little bit about it. So, match starts. Nikki gets the cheap shot early on Vaquer. So she starts to get a little bit of an advantage, but then Vaquer lands a drop kick, quickly turns the tides. Vaquer continues to beat down Nikki inside and then outside of the ring. She's throwing her into the apron, into the announce table. Nikki avoids a knee drop on the apron and gets Vaquer back in the ring. Nikki goes on a bit of a run of offense, and it looks pretty good. Several minutes of offense here. She acts like she's going to go for a devil's kiss herself, but Vaquer rolls her up for a 2 count. Vaquer then goes for the kiss, but Bella rolls to the rope to break the hold. Nikki eats a super kick heading back in the ring, and both women are down for a moment. Vaquer eventually hits an SVB for a 2 count. Nikki counters the corkscrew moonsault and hits a great-looking jumping kick off of the turnbuckle to Vaquer. Bella then hits a TKO. I think they call that something else. Rack Attack 2.0?
Yeah.
Has it always been that way, Slick Vic, where she drops her? Rack Attack, or does she do the actual torture rack? I'm not sure.
I think she did something originally. I don't remember what it was, but then when she changed it to where she dropped to her knees, that's where they started adding the 2.0 to it.
Well, in this match, she drops on her back. Like, she TKO'd her. That was a TKO. Shoulders to a cutter.
Yeah. I don't
you know what I'm saying? When you put them up on your shoulder, you toss them and you cutter them. Anyway, TKO. That's a TKO for me. But she only got a 2 count out of it. Vaquer counters a potential powerbomb from the apron by kicking Nikki off into the announce desk. Vaquer then loads Nikki on the desk and hits a devil's kiss with Wade Barrett saying, "You got the best view in the house, Michael Cole." Vaquer hits another devil's kiss back in the ring, followed by the corkscrew splash for the win. And still, Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer went the way it should. I was pleasantly surprised by Nikki Bella. I thought this was overall a fairly solid match, really. Gave it 5 out of 10. 1 for build, which, by the way, it gets a 1 for build because even though Nikki and Stephanie have been involved, they've been a team. So since they've been opposed to each other and building to this match, that's what I'm counting. Not the entirety of the whole thing, right? Because we're talking about this specific match and building to it. Gets a 1. Quality, 1.5. Already told you that. Emotion, half. Memorable moments, I gave it a 0. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure about that because the Devil's Kiss on the announce table was a thing that I think people might remember, but I'm not so sure that I will. And result got a 2. 5 out of 10. Slick Vic, who'd you pick to win this match, and what were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts. We'll start with my thoughts first. I've been critical of Nikki's run ever since she came back, but this was the best match since she came back. I didn't think it was great, but it wasn't bad. The match was, I checked, the match was only around 12 minutes long, but I swear to God, it felt a lot longer than that. The placement didn't help coming right after the chaos for the previous match because the crowd was mostly dead, I felt, for this match. I don't know if Nikki taking the devil's kiss in the ring from her knees was intentional or not. I don't know if you caught that. When Stephanie hit the devil's kiss for the second time, this time in the ring, Stephanie was not on her knees, which is not how you're supposed to take it. There's a famous Botchamania bit where Stephanie's yelling at somebody, "Get on your knees," because it just works better that way.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I don't know if Stephanie just didn't know how to take it or she just did that on purpose.
Are you talking? Wait a second. You're saying Stephanie over and over and over. Are you talking about Nikki?
Nikki, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's all right. I was just a little bit confused. So Nikki was not up on her knees, which would have allowed her to do the move, to sell the move more. Yeah, I got that, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I also love how whenever Stephanie's attempts at the Devil's Kiss gets countered, the crowd boos heavily.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. I think the most over move in the entire roster, the entire WWE,
easily,
is the Devil's Kiss.
Yeah, easily.
And I was worried we were going to get Twin Magic and see Stephanie lose, but thank God that didn't happen. Stephanie's corkscrew moonsault looked like it really hurt on this one. Like she came crashing down on Nikki pretty hard there.
Yeah.
But overall, match was okay. Match is, like I said, not going to be memorable. I'd probably give it a similar. Well, I think you're definitely more higher on this match than I am. But it was okay. It was okay. That's all I got really.
Okay, is good enough.
Who did I pick for this match? I believe I did pick La Primera to win this match.
Well, let me check the notes, and yes, it looks like you did, Slick Vic. Good job once again. 3 out of 4 matches, Vic. You've been right. And we're heading into the last one now. We'll have to see what comes of that. But we're now at our main event. This is the men's WarGames match, where we have Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and CM Punk on the babyface team. And we have Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and Logan Paul on the heel team, a.k.a. Team Vision. So, Punk comes out first. He climbs the cage to enter, similarly to how AJ Lee did earlier. And Breaker's in the ring as well. Breaker's all over Punk. And Punk fights out of a superplex. He hits a flying clothesline to turn the tides. McIntyre's out next for the heel team. Punk eats a claymore early, gets thrown into the cage twice, and overall just gets pummeled by the double team offense of Breaker and McIntyre. Cody Rhodes enters, hits a flying attack from the top of the cage to McIntyre. Punk has been busted open. I'm not sure when it happened, but it was likely from the throw into the cage earlier. Cody and Punk hit a double team heart attack on McIntyre, followed by a doomsday device. That was nice. I like seeing the old classic tag team moves brought out there. And Breaker landed nasty off of that move. That doomsday device landed right on his neck, right on his dome. Logan Paul heads out next. McIntyre instructs Logan to grab a chair from under the ring before entering, which Paul uses on Cody right away. By the way, Logan has some sweet NWO-esque gear on during this match. Did you catch that?
No, Logan had NWO themed gear?
Yeah, well, I mean, it had like his initials, but it was in the style of NWO, and it was black and white. It was really cool. It was really nice.
I'll have to go back and check that out.
Yeah, good stuff. Paul and Rhodes trade punches atop the cage. Breaker smashes Cody with a chair. Now the 3-on-2 sets in with Drew, Logan hitting a double suplex on Punk. Jimmy Uso comes out next and brings a table in the ring. The next few minutes is mostly back and forth between everyone, but eventually it's the Vision team, the heels, that ultimately get the upper hand, leading to the next entrant, who is Bronson Reed. And, spoiler alert, things are not going to go much better for the babyfaces. Bronson Reed gets in the ring. He hits a tsunami on Punk, Jimmy, and Rhodes. And now apparently Cody is busted open. The heels continue to dominate. The table is set up in the corner at some point. I didn't catch by who. Jay comes out next for the babyface team, and they take over for a bit. Jay calls for his music, literally in the middle of the match, and heads up to the top of the cage and has a little yeet party. Now, we have Brock Lesnar. The last member of Team Vision hits the ring. Lesnar hits German suplexes on everyone. He throws Cody and Punk into the cage. Then he starts dishing out F5s. Just absolutely runs over everybody. Roman Reigns makes his slow walk to the ring last for the babyface team, and Lesnar leaves the ring to meet him outside, and the announcers say, Well, the match hasn't officially started, so Lesnar can technically leave the ring. Reigns meets Lesnar on the ramp. He hits several Superman punches to Lesnar as the two make their way over towards the announce tables. And he goes for a fourth Superman punch, but gets picked up and F5'd through the announce table by Lesnar. Lesnar tosses Reigns in the ring, and the match officially begins. Lesnar hits an F5 on Reigns, but gets taken out by a GTS, followed by a crossroads. Logan Paul breaks the follow-up pin attempt and gets Heyman to pass him the brass knucks that he gave him, I think, last week, which he uses on Punk, but misses the attempt on Roman. Reigns snatches the brass knucks and hits loaded Superman punches on McIntyre and Reed, then spears Breaker. Lesnar gets Jay on his shoulders for an F5, but Reigns hits a spear on Lesnar through the table that was set up in the corner. Breaker comes back alive and hits some spears. Punk hits a GTS on Logan Paul, but a masked figure climbs the cage and delivers a kick, followed by a stomp to Punk. Breaker picks the bones by hitting a spear to Punk and pins him for the win. And Team Vision walks away the victors. Thoughts on this match? Similar to the girls' match that we've seen earlier, I thought it was okay. For a match that was so star-studded and worked up as this match, where everybody was saying, I don't remember a time when so many big names were involved in a WarGames match. There hasn't been. That doesn't necessarily mean the match is going to be excellent. And that's sort of what we see here. Overall, the heels dominated most of it, and they ended up winning. And we see a few cool spots. The spear to Lesnar in the corner with the table and Jay on his shoulders. Lesnar coming out and dominating everybody, which I guess is expected. The masked figure, which everybody is still talking about, who's the guy in the mask. It couldn't have been Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins just had shoulder surgery. And you got a lot of people thinking that it's Austin Theory. Some people are throwing out crazy names like Jon Moxley. I've heard it all. I don't know who it was. I don't think I care. If it's Austin Theory, I don't think it's going to be anybody that's going to make me pop, but if it is, I'll be happy. Anyway, long story short, this match gets a 5 out of 10 gigawatts. 1 for build, 1 for quality, 1 for emotion, 1 for memorable moments, and 1 for result. So 1 in each category. Vic, your thoughts?
Well, I really liked how the match started, at least with Punk and Breaker. When Braun Breaker overpowers Punk in the lockups, Punk sold it like holy shit. Like, it really put over Braun's strength, like his physical ability. I was very surprised by the entrant numbers here. Punk and Cody being 1 and 2 for their teams respectively. I was like, these guys are the world champions. Why are they the first ones out? I don't know. I thought that was a little odd. An interesting creative choice.
Right.
But I did love, you mentioned this earlier too, I love the heart attack and the Doomsday device. Great throwbacks. The Doomsday device especially looked devastating. I like you mentioned it too. I thought when Braun landed on the back of his neck or head, he got up and sold it like death. I was like, oh God, is he all right?
Dude's built like a tank, man. He's built like an absolute tank.
Wasn't there something about something about being a Steiner, a line in this match? I don't remember now. But I thought this was the better of the WarGames matches tonight. Definitely more intensity. Again, I don't need a bloodbath. But these matches, what's it called? But these matches should have a stronger sense of danger to them. Punk and Cody were both bleeding. And I'm not saying I need everybody to be bleeding, or I need every single one of these matches to be, bloodbaths, but there was definitely more intensity here, as I mentioned earlier.
Punk and Cody were bleeding, and it was an afterthought.
Yeah, that's true too.
They got color, and it didn't mean anything. And I thought that was weird. I thought that was a weird choice.
Good point. The dancing didn't bother me too much because when Lesnar's music hit, it became this big, oh shit moment. where even Wade Barrett was like, they shouldn't be having this much fun in a War Games match. So at least there was that. At least they try to cover that up. And also, and when the brass knucks were used, I mentioned this with Kyrie Sane earlier today. At least when they were used, the wrestlers that got hit with them sold them like death, and it was saved for towards the very end of the match or near the end of the match. And I think this match followed the more classic War Games format with the heels having the advantage, and I think it flowed better. My biggest gripe with this match is that it felt like it ended abruptly. Like, just as all the wrestlers came in the ring and the match beyond started, I don't know if they use that term anymore, where the match beyond, but there was a few spots, the mystery man comes in, Breaker hits the spear and wins the match. I felt like it was really, really quick, like once the match began. That's pretty much my only gripe, because overall I thought it was decent, like just a slight notch above the women's match, but so it's good, but probably not going to be memorable, which is crazy when you think of all the star power this match had.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing really memorable. The mystery man was the most memorable thing about it. Like, that's what people are talking about. They're not talking about the table spot. They're not talking about Lesnar. They're not talking about Reigns. They're not talking about the blood, which was minimal. They're not talking about any of that stuff. They're talking about the mystery man that came in and cost the baby faces the match, essentially, which, we'll have to see where they go with that, but who'd you pick to win this one, Slick Vic? Last match of the night.
I know who I picked. It was the baby faces. I'm sorry, it was the heels. I picked the heels to win this match. I did. I swear I did.
He did pick the heels. I went and reviewed the notes from last week. And that's 4 for 4, Slick Vic. You were perfect. Once again, we said a long time ago.
Was perfect.
I said you were perfect. And we gave you the name Mr. Perfect. I think 2 episodes back, you were the Oracle, and then you became Mr. Perfect. And ever since then, you have upheld the name Mr. Perfect. This included the last 3 episodes that we've done Slick Vic's picks and had results. It's a clean sweep.
I'm in rarefied air here, man.
What's going on? He has absolutely
leveled up.
Turn the volume up tremendously here, and we're gonna have to start doing some prize picks, some betting or something like that.
If only WWE was on like FanDuel or something, or whatever one of those things. I'd make a fortune.
You'd make some money for sure. Yeah, we definitely need to start doing that. Unfortunately, though, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it ever will be. Because there may be some shenanigans going on there if that was to happen. Triple H would probably be on there winning all kinds of cash.
Somebody behind the scenes would be a billionaire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's not an executive.
Yeah. But that's it, man. That's Survivor Series 2025, Survivor Series War Games. Altogether an event that we said it before we were actually started talking about the show. In my opinion, it's done. War Games, it's done. Do something different next year. Let's just bring it back down a notch. We don't need the 2 cages, the 2 rings, whatever it is, because they're sort of not really utilized anyway. I feel like the 2 rings in the big cage is not utilized in the way that it should be, and it's overkill. And if you do something too much, it loses its sparkle a little bit. And I think that's where we are with it. So, okay matches, but I think for a PLE, I think for especially this period of time when we're not paying $60 for a PLE, but we're paying a lot of money for a lot of different things to watch and follow SmackDown and Raw and PLEs and keep up with everything. it should have been better. It should have been a lot better, I feel like. What about you, Vic?
Yeah, I mean it's not going to go down as a memorable event. We've used that term a few times. I think today it's not going to be that memorable. I think what's the most memorable thing about this show? Is it John Cena's last PLE? Maybe.
I don't even know if that's very memorable. Honestly, I think that the biggest thing there was Liv Morgan coming back.
Yeah, well, there was 5 of them. It took 5 of them.
It took 5 of them. Who do you think the masked man is, Slick Vic? Do you have any thoughts on that?
The internet just keeps saying over and over and over that Austin Theory is the guy. So,
is that what you would think? Maybe he's the new member of the Vision, and because he was talked about as being one of the potential members of the Vision team in this event, and he wasn't. He ended up not being. But, yeah, he could have been that guy.
I don't think it's going to be Moxley. I don't think anyone from AEW is going to be there.
Jericho.
Watch his
Jericho could not climb the cage that fast.
No. I mean, they could still like bring a masked man out and reveal him as Jericho, even though it's like, wait a minute. I even heard Sami Zayn's name tossed around. I didn't hear that one, but
I heard that as a potential could have been.
Yeah, whoever it was can climb really fast, and Austin Theory can certainly climb really fast, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. My guess is Austin Theory, but I could be wrong.
All right. Well, we're not going to put that in the official picks. We're going to let that one slide.
Yeah.
But that was Survivor Series 2025, and if you enjoyed it, great. If you didn't enjoy it, hey, go back and watch episode 18 of Wrestling with Power, where we do our review of a pretty decent Survivor Series, 1990. And you can also watch that, at least for now, still on Peacock.
Yep.
And that brings us to Monday Night Raw. Slick Vic, are you ready for Raw? Do you want a break?
Let's take a quick break.
Quick break. Let's hear from our sponsors here real quick while we break, and we'll be right back, guys. All right, we're back after that brief commercial break. I had to tear into a beefy, spicy Slim Jim. After seeing that Slim Jim table broken in the ring at Survivor Series, I was just, talking about it. It got me feeling a little bored. And art thou bored? I had to snap into a beefy, spicy Slim Jim. So there you go. We're going to move on to Monday Night Raw. And like I said, Slick Vic's going to help me out a little bit with this one. If I can get my notes up here right. This was Monday Night Raw from December the 1st, 2025, the Fallout show after Survivor Series. So we're going to see where this goes. Show starts, the Vision arrive to the arena, and then we get a in-ring segment with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, where they basically set up the main event later tonight. They talk about the Kabuki Warriors. I wasn't really a big fan of this because after going through something like WarGames, that's like the sort of the pinnacle top deal of ending. Well, traditionally cage matches are like that ends feuds. One of the first thing that Rhea Ripley says is, "Yeah, we went through WarGames, but it's not over." And I'm like, really? I guess it's not over. But there's a reason for that. The Kabuki Warriors are the champions, and Rhea and Io want that gold. So, long-winded story short here, they set up the match, which will become our main event later tonight on Monday Night Raw, of Rhea and Io versus the Kabuki Warriors. From that, we get another backstage segment with Ivy Nile asking for a match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship versus Maxine Dupree. And then we also get Paul Heyman asking for a world title match for Braun Breaker, since he was the one that pinned CM Punk at Survivor Series. No mention of the fact that he had a little help. It was just Breaker pinned him. We won a title match. Any thoughts on these segments, Slick Vic?
Well, I got a few things here. Rhea is still super over. The promo itself was all right, serviceable. But I agree with Rhea. Rhea even said, and I think you were talking about it too. It's like I didn't think they would go to war 24 hours after WarGames.
Right.
So, but here we are. Ivy Nile showing up after not seeing her for months and wants a title shot. I mean, I guess they need somebody for Maxine to beat. While a match with Ivy isn't interesting, I don't mind seeing Maxine get the win here. And Heyman is hilarious. Heyman is guilty. He's guilty of many things, but not that. So Heyman denies knowing who the hooded man was and wants to talk about Braun Breaker pinning CM Punk. So that's interesting. It's got my attention.
All right. Now we're up for our first match here, and this is the last time is now tournament. This is a semifinals match where we're going to see Jey Uso taking on LA Knight. And, Vic, I don't have any specific notes for this. Maybe you do as far as things that happened in the match. I can tell you LA Knight ends up winning this one, which was a relief for me. If Jey Uso had won this one, I would have lost my mind. But LA Knight is the victor, and after the match, Jay has a come apart where it takes him a very long time to finally get mad enough to destroy the hydration station and throw a little hissy fit. Thoughts, Vic?
This was decent. The whole I was fine with the whole yeet versus yeah thing. Both men got their jab combos in, or attempts of it at least. I love the burning hammer from LA Knight. And he should seldom use it because it looks great. But if he brings it out every week and they just kick out, it will lose some of its luster.
Right.
So it sucks that LA Knight slipped during the Megaplex, because whenever I see him do it, I always hold my breath, like, please don't fuck it up, because he's botched that a bunch of times.
Eventually, he's going to have to quit doing that.
Yeah, it looks great when he hits it, but he doesn't always hit it.
Yeah.
Some decent back and forth action. I honestly didn't know who was going to win, and the way Knight won was unexpected in a good way. And as I said, this was decent. Yeah, and bonus points for Jay destroying the Prime Card post match. And thank God we're not getting another Jey Uso Gunther match. Not that the last two are terrible or anything, but I don't want to see another Jey Uso Gunther match.
No.
So
no,
I'm happy with the outcome here.
Yeah, done and done with that. We go to a backstage segment, and we see Bayley and Lyra. They're talking to Adam Pearce. They're asking for tag team titles match. The Kabuki Warriors show up and blame Bayley and Lyra for losing WarGames, saying if they had joined their team, then their team would have won. We go to another segment, this one in the ring. Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day members come out. Dom says since he beat Cena, he is now the greatest of all time. He thanks his Judgment Day members, then calls out Liv Morgan, who comes out and talks some smack about Cena. She says she's missed all of her Judgment Day members, but she's heard since she's been gone that the Judgment Day has become weak. But all that changes now that she's back. Alright, so this was hard to get through for me. It went on and on and on, and there was no payoff. They just came out, talked smack, and that was it. So, it was just a big hurrah for the Judgment Day moment that I could have done without. What about you, Vic?
Well, going back to that backstage segment, I thought Lyra was actually kind of funny here. She had some pretty good mannerisms and body language. I thought that was good work on her part there. And Asuka made a good point when she says how Charlotte gets what she wants, but you don't. It's a good little
jab
dig at her. Yeah. The Judgment Day promo. I thought Dom showing off the Cena side plates was an interesting little touch, because he still has the Cena side plates on, which is funny, but also a little like, what?
It's like a trophy.
Whatever.
It's like a trophy.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it, actually. Also, is Liv Morgan more over than I remember, or does the audience just miss her? Because
I think that it's just
remember.
been so long that she's been gone, and they've kept her in the loop by mentioning her each week. So it's sort of been a
Yeah.
thing where, when is she going to come back? And yeah, I think that anytime somebody goes away for a little while and then comes back, there's a bit of a pop for it.
With Judgment Day back at full capacity, I am mildly curious what's going to happen. Obviously, later on, they're going to tease something with Liv Morgan. But, yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
All right. Next, we get a video package, and this was actually pretty badass. Pretty interesting. Maxine Dupree is shown training with Natty. Maxine looks worked to death. And it's too bad that Natty didn't bring this type of ferocity to her actual matches over the past 10 years, because Natty is just beating the shit out of Maxine in this little training montage that they got going on. And it ends with Natty saying, "Get out of my ring," and starting to walk off, and Maxine stands up and says, "Again." I think she said again, or she said something. And Natty turns around and smiles, and that's when you actually see Natty's face, which, of course, everybody knows that's who it was. Interesting, man. Whenever they first were talking about Maxine going and training with Natty, I was like, wow, Natty hasn't won a match in a decade. And so now we see, Natty should have been winning. She should have been on top. She should have been all of these things that we're sort of seeing in this video portrayed, but she wasn't. So, I don't know. Hopefully this brings out a more vicious side of Maxine, and we actually do get to see her showcased more. Hopefully she's really training with Natty, and it's not just like a storyline thing. Like, hopefully she's getting some pointers. But hopefully this means that Natty is going to come back aggressive as well. What if that happens? What if Natty comes back and actually challenges for that belt? Could happen. Would like to see it happen. I would be fine if Natty came back and kicked Maxine's ass for the title, to be honest with you. I'm a big Natty fan. What do you think of this video package, Vic?
I thought it was pretty well done. I loved the grittiness to it. Like, if this is WWE's way of trying to toughen up and make us take Maxine Dupree more seriously, then that's pretty damn good, Absolute cinema.
It was really good. Really well shot.
Maxine is very athletic. Hopefully she improves in the ring. She's not always going to have somebody like Becky to lead her through a good match, but Natty is also a great choice, and I think eventually Natty's going to turn on her. I think they're going to feed Ivy Nile to Maxine first, and then maybe we'll have a Natty match. But this was good. This was really good. I dug it.
All right, good stuff. Backstage segment, then we have Pierce talking to a referee. I didn't catch the referee's name, I'm sorry. But he is a very commonly used and seen referee. Do you have his name, Vic?
No.
Okay, well, he's one of the more well-known ones there. But he's it was kind of weird. It was kind of a weird segment because he says he needs a favor done discreetly, even though he's doing it and telling this referee literally in front of a camera on Monday Night Raw in front of millions of people. But he needs a discreet favor. Pierce asks the ref to basically survey the locker room and report back to him on what he hears in terms of who the masked man was. He wants to know. He wants to get to the bottom of this. And the ref's like, okay, cool. Then we have a match. And Vic, I think that this is where I'm going to need your help a little bit, because this match was Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, the World Tag Team Champions, defending their titles against the New Day. Unfortunately, I do not have notes for this match. I did not watch this match. I think I had stepped out for a minute. And I'm kicking myself in the ass for not watching this match, because I feel like it was probably a pretty good one. But like I say, unfortunately, I don't have notes. So what do you got there for this match, Vic?
Well, this was a good one. I like the quick tags by the New Day at the beginning. They're cutting the ring in half, but that was good heel work there. There was a running Rana from the apron from Dragon Lee, from one of the New Day members to the other New Day members on the outside. And I say the other New Day members, I mean, there's what's the guy's name?
Xavier Woods.
Grayson Waller.
Grayson Waller.
Also. Yeah, like I think he threw maybe it was Kofi Kingston onto Xavier Woods and Grayson Waller for a good spot there. AJ looks fantastic from his sneaky trip to the tag to Dragon Lee. The counter from the boom drop to the sunset flip was great. I don't know if it's just me, but are the New Day just not? Did they not feel that important anymore? Remember when they first turned on Big E, they were getting nuclear levels of heat. Now they're just kind of there. I don't know if that's just they just cool off or what, man.
I think that it's a situation where we've talked about it before, man. This tag division is not booked well. I mean, there's elements of it that are there that they could have built on, and this is one of them. This is actually a very good example of having a really solid heel tag team in the New Day with Grayson Waller and just not really using them properly in this sort of tag team sphere that they're working on. And that goes for both shows, man. I mean, some weeks it'll be different. Like some weeks we'll get a little bit of a showcase of the tag team and you're like, okay, well, they're starting to do something. And then it just goes away. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's all comes down to the booking or lack thereof when it comes to the tag team division in WWE.
We'll talk about the women's tag team division later on, but I will say this: the finish for this match was really good, awesome, so to speak. But Kofi is laying on the ropes like he's like hunched. He's perched on the ropes like he's laying flat on his stomach. Dragon Lee does a double stomp onto him, and then Kofi bounces off the ropes and then lands into AJ Styles for a Styles clash. Go back and watch it. It's fantastic.
I think I actually did see that little clip of it, and that it was great. Yeah,
it's good shit, pal. But yeah, overall, I thought the match was good. It was a fun tag team match, and AJ Styles and Dragon Lee continue to impress.
After this, we get a tease of a potential Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan, right?
Yep.
I don't have a lot beyond that, but apparently they're sort of teasing a Liv Morgan world title match potentially happening at some point. And all then we get
I was gonna say all there was Stephanie asking for I'm ready for my next challenger, and Liv Morgan steps up saying, "Hey, how about me?"
Okay,
that's all.
She'll get injured again.
Proceed.
Well, I'm going to need your help one more time, I think, for the rest of this show here, which is, again, kicking myself in the ass. I missed a couple of the best parts of the show, I believe. This is the Paul Heyman promo with Braun Breaker promo that they have out in the ring, where Braun Breaker just absolutely does a really great promo here. And hopefully you got a few highlights there for us, Slick Vic.
Well, Paul Heyman first puts over his entire team at WarGames. When he gets his turn to Logan Paul, he calls him the biggest mainstream star in the planet. And even Logan Paul was kind of like cringing, which is hilarious because they caught it on camera.
Yeah.
Logan Paul's like, oh, yeah, I'm the biggest mainstream star. Cool. But then they confirmed that we have a title match between Punk and Breaker on the January 5th episode of Monday Night Raw. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that one. Whether or not Breaker wins or not, I'm looking forward to that match because this is big, man. This guy is being touted as the future, and here's his first world title shot. Breaker was crazy intense, almost I mean, for me, almost comical at times because of his mannerisms. But the man cuts such a very fiery and passionate promo that you believed him, and he looks like a killer, so you buy it. So and then I don't have a lot of quotes of what he said, but he was talking about how Punk talked to him last year, saying you're gonna have to cut promos with the big dogs. We'll consider the promo cut, and he goes on a rant and he spikes the mic afterwards, which Logan Paul grabs and says, "Damn!"
Yeah. He spikes the mic and it flies up in the air, and Logan Paul catches it.
If I have one complaint about Breaker's promo, it's him saying Becky is the bigger star over Seth Rollins, which is kind of low hanging fruit at this point. Everyone says that, and it's kind of like, it's been beaten to death. Your wife's a bigger star than you. I think everyone has feuded with Seth Rollins has talked about that, so that's just low hanging fruit at this point for me.
Question: do we have a time frame for when Seth Rollins is expected to be back?
Not to my knowledge.
It won't be by January 5th. Surely.
Probably not.
Okay. Because I'm trying to think of how this match is going to go. Surely Breaker isn't going to win. Like, he gets a shot, and it's probably going to be, a good showing, but what do you think? Do you think Breaker is going to actually win the world title at this?
This is tough, man, because Elimination Chamber in February is in Chicago. Is Punk has to be on that card.
Are you going?
No. No. I looked at the prices and I'm like, man, I think I should pay the rent this week and not go to a WWE show.
I need groceries.
Yeah. But here's the thing: is Punk going to be on the show as world champion, or does he enter the Elimination Chamber, try to get his way into WrestleMania? There's a lot of variables here, so I'm not entirely sure who wins this match. This is a big match too. So, I mean, does Breaker go into his first WrestleMania as champion? So,
yeah, you got a lot to think about.
I think you said you don't think he's going to win, and I don't know, man. I really don't know. This is a big match, so we'll see.
So, Elimination Chamber 2026 in Chicago at the United Center, February 28th. It's a Saturday, and Slick Vic will not be there.
Unfortunately, I will not be. So I cannot give you the live play-by-play.
How much were tickets? Do you remember how much they were?
I think they're like $200 just for the nosebleed section.
What do you think? Would it have been on Ticketmaster?
Yeah. I mean, are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm just curious.
All right. Go ahead, look it up, man. Tell me.
You said
cheapest seats for Elimination Chamber. I'm going to look it up right now myself.
You might beat me to it because it's wanting me to update my app and all this stuff. I actually have the app on here, and
I'll have to do it on my phone as well.
All right, so here we go. The Ticketmaster app kind of blows, too. Like, sometimes I try to search up things that are very clearly explained what I'm looking for, and it will not find it. All right, let's see. Elimination Chamber. Top result. WWE Elimination Chamber, no event. Okay, Chicago, Illinois, United Center. Starts at 5:30 p.m. Saturday, February 28th. Section 329, row 3, which is nosebleeds. Row 3 in the furthest back is $240.60.
Christ, see, you want to sit way up in the back. This is the nosebleeds. This is the United Center, which is a bigger venue than where they normally WWE shows up at a venue called the All-State Arena. They're at the United Center, which is a much bigger arena. Yeah,
I know they were making a big deal about him coming back to the United Center this time for an event.
Yeah. First pay-per-view since SummerSlam 1994.
if we if we switch to the map here, and again, I'm not super familiar with the United Center, but there are a lot of tickets still available. Let's see. Section 111's completely taken up. Mix. That's okay. So that's the hard camera side. Let's go section 112 here. Most of those are taken up. The very back row, and this is good. This is like floor back row on the corner, are $831.90 each. Section 112, row 19. Almost $1,000, probably $1,000 a ticket once you get done.
You know, I think I would rather eat that month than just go see one wrestling show.
Yeah, for real. And just out of curiosity, on the ramp, if you want ramp seating, like as you know, on the aisleway as they're coming out, there are a couple that are available. Section 1, row 8, seat 1, and seat 2 are available for the bargain deal of $3,545.90.
Crazy.
Good God.
Who has that kind of money?
I don't know. I'd like to know, but I don't know. The green shirt guy obviously has.
That guy's got FU money.
He's got a lot of dough coming in somewhere along the lines. But yeah, Elimination Chamber, Chicago, United Center, big show. Punk has to be there, like you mentioned. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a crazy. If you can swing a couple $100, $300 a ticket, it'd probably be a pretty good event to go to because, again, it's CM Punk at Chicago, especially if he comes in as the champion. So we'll have to see how that goes later on. But there's you some prices, some modern WWE pricing for you. Now let's go back to Raw. We have a last time is now semifinals match. This is Solo Sikoa versus Gunther. Spoiled it a little bit earlier. Gunther wins. But I have some notes for this one. And we have some grappling early on. There's a bunch of shoulder tackles that don't really go anywhere. They don't drop either man because we're talking about two big tanks of human beings. They're trying to knock each other down. Then we get some trading forearms. Solo eventually hits a shoulder tackle that drops Gunther. And Solo is in control out of the commercial break, but Gunther gets a couple chops in. He tries for a body slam, but Solo's weight causes him to come crashing down on Gunther, and he gets a 2 count out of it. Gunther catches Solo on the top rope and hits a superplex. Then the two go back to trading chops and punches, ending with Solo hitting the spike on Gunther into a commercial break. I thought this was an interesting spot because he clearly hit the spike. I don't know if they really sold it well, the announcers, but like that looks like what he hit, and then they go into a commercial break. So it's like, obviously, this isn't a pin attempt or a big deal or whatever, you know. Back from the break, Solo goes for a hip attack, but Gunther counters with a clothesline. Solo escapes a powerbomb, only to get clotheslined again. Solo hits a Samoan drop. He gets a 2 count. Goes for a spike. Gunther fires up with several chops. Solo hits a rock bottom, or whatever that move is called otherwise, and a big splash from the top. Gunther kicks out at 2. Solo goes for the spike again, but Gunther catches him in a sleeper hold that Solo breaks, but pulls the turnbuckle pad off in the process. The ref goes to fix the turnbuckle pad, and Tala attacks Gunther on the outside, but he gets a low blow for his trouble. Back in the ring, Gunther hits a low blow to Solo, followed by a powerbomb for the win. Alright. So, what was likely not planned, because again, this was stemming from the Penta versus Solo Sikoa match that they had where Penta got hurt, and obviously Solo went on to win that one. I thought it was a pretty solid match between two big powerhouse heels. The crowd was really hot. It was a loud, hard-hitting match, well put together. Post-match, LA Knight comes to the ring to talk some smack to Gunther. We get a close-up of Gunther, which reveals a Kurt Angle-sized booger hanging in his nose. And that's pretty much it. Vic, what are your thoughts?
I thought this was great. I don't know if I said this last time, but Gunther is big boss rank. I briefly mentioned earlier how Lyra's body language was used well, but that was in a comedic way. Does anyone have the facial expressions and body language that Gunther displays in his matches? The man works his gimmick to the max. This was interesting as it's heel versus heel, and nobody's going for sympathy. These are just two assholes, tough guys just trying to beat the hell out of each other, which I thought was very well done here. And I can't remember the last time I saw a heel versus heel match that I was like really. I don't know if I was really looking forward to this, but I was pleasantly surprised, like very, very pleasantly surprised with this match. Speaking of which, Solo sold those chops like a martial arts movie villain with those eyes. I swear to God, he got the big bug. I was like, with some of those chops. I popped hard for that. But Solo held his own here. He hit those were called spinning Solo slams according to the commentary, which is the rock bottom. And I can't remember the last time Solo actually went for an Uso splash off the top rope. Gunther, I like how Gunther would specifically work on, or scientifically work on Solo's thumb to neutralize the spike. Very good back and forth action. I love the ending where, Tala is distracting the referee and Gunther just nut shots Solo, power bombs him, pins him. Good stuff. I thought this was a great match.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, between two heel characters, and it went over very well. We get a backstage segment. The referee from earlier has nothing new to report to Adam Pearce. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee asked to defend their championships against the War Raiders next week, and Pearce makes it official. So we have a tag team match set up for next week's Raw already. Tag team championship match. Kind of looking forward to that one. We get another backstage segment. Rey Mysterio, he's talking to Jackie Redmond. He says he doesn't mind having to go through each member of the Judgment Day to get to his son, Dominic. When asked about another run with the IC title, Logan Paul interrupts and says the IC title belongs to the Vision, and I put a question mark. I'm like, what? And that Rey should stand down. Rey slaps the hell out of Logan, and Logan flies off and tells him, "You're going to pay for that. You can't pay for anything. You're broke. I'm rich." Thought that was kind of funny. All right, and then we got our main event up next. But Vic, do you have anything there for those couple of segments before we move on to the main event?
Well, sure. I'm looking forward to the tag match next week. But yeah, Logan Paul plays a prick really well. You really want to see him get his ass kicked. And Ray going through, if he's talking about going through the Judgment Day just to get to Dominic, I'm fine with that. You know, I mean, I think him and JD will have a great match. I think him and Finn will have a good match. So I'm all for it. So I look forward to those matches.
Do you think that they maybe could make this last until WrestleMania, where Dom and his dad fight for the title? I think that would be a good match to have at Mania.
I think so. Yeah, I think they can. They can have tag matches with Penta and Ray, and maybe even I don't know if somebody else joins their team. Maybe Ray Phoenix if they bring him over from SmackDown.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, as long as Penta comes back, we don't know the extent of his injury, but
right. I think they can definitely extend this feud for sure until WrestleMania.
I would like that. That would be preferable for me. All right, so then we got our main event here. This is Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. All right, so the match is ongoing out of a commercial break. So anything that happened prior to that, I don't know. Rhea and Bliss, they're in some kind of weird leg submission, but she breaks it, throwing Rhea into Charlotte, then tagging in Io. Back and forth from Io and Bliss, and then both are down before tagging in Rhea and Charlotte. And this is what the crowd wants to see. The two trade punches for a minute. Flair hits a few chops, then Rhea hits a headbutt. More back and forth. Rhea with a wild roundhouse kick from the ground, and both women are down into another break. Back, Io and Flair are in the ring now, but Rhea tags back in. Io and Flair are in the ring, but Rhea tags back in quickly. Rhea goes for a razor's edge and botches it, while Io waits on the top rope for the follow-up. Rhea tries again, hits it, and Io hits her flying dropkick. Flair counters a riptide into a massive DDT and tags in Bliss, who goes for Twisted Bliss, but Rhea gets the knees up in time. Flair hits a massive big boot to Io, then a natural selection, then a Sister Abigail DDT from Bliss, but Rhea breaks up the pin attempt. Rhea hits a riptide to Bliss, Io hits the sky attack, but Flair spears through Rhea to break the pin. The Kabuki Warriors show up and cause the DQ, beating down Io and Bliss. Lyra and Bayley show up and beat down the Kabukis. Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day gal show up and start brawling with whoever they run into to end the show. So, a lot of chaos in the end to end the show, to end the match. Didn't really care for it that much. I thought it was a pretty good match going on for them to come in and just screw it up. Also, I don't really like when they do these DQs where the match is just thrown out and it's not, one person wins because they hit this guy, so the other person is whatever. Anyway, that's what happens. We get a big brawl at the end. End of show. Your thoughts, Vic?
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave it to your recollection there, because all I remember from this one, all I got here is everyone interferes at the end. So, yeah. What I was going to mention, to piggyback off something I said earlier in the night, was unlike the men's tag team division, it looks like here we have about 5 solid tag teams here to battle for the title.
Yeah.
So, if they're going to keep these teams together, we have a solid women's tag team division. If they keep them together, I feel like there's a lot of big names that deserve to be solo or singles champions, but that's pretty occupied by Stephanie and Jade and Chelsea Green and Maxine Dupree. So that's fine. We can build up the tag team division with big names like Charlotte, Rhea, Io, Asuka, etc.
And that's okay for me. I mean, because these are the tag team championships should be looked at as major titles. And hint to whoever's booking in the WWE, this is a good example of why you only need one set of tag team championships for the men. I think it would do wonders for the entire division to just have one tag team division tag team championship, because right now, if you look at both sides, they're booked okay here and there, but if you only had one set of titles to go for, that's so many more teams that are involved in it. I mean, just look at what you're doing with the women. Why can't they just do that? That's my question. But anyway, end of show, and we are thus done with all of our reviews here for episode 19. And we're going to end the show with a little This Day in Wrestling History brought to you by Slick Vic.
We are?
Hopefully.
Well,
it's on the docket, pal. Impromptu This Day in Wrestling History. By the way, Slick Vic, we just looks like we got a follower in the meantime. And thank you for the follow. I can't see your name right away, but thanks for that. On our Twitch channel, where we are alive, pal. So while Slick Vic is looking that up,
This Day in Wrestling History, we're going back to 2004. Lita defeated Trish Stratus for the WWE Women's Championship. It was a main event spot on Monday Night Raw. It was the last time a women's match took place in the main event spot until 2016. Do you remember this match at all?
Yeah, I think I do. Was this what year did you say this was again?
2004.
Okay, so this would have probably been one of Trish Stratus's last matches for a while, I would think.
Well, Trish Stratus wrestled, I think, for another 2 years until she retired. But yeah, this was the first time. You're thinking of Trish's retirement match where she did beat Lita.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but this was a main event match where Trish is the heel and Lita's the babyface, where Lita defeated Trish. Trish was the champion. Trish defended the title. Lita wins. And that was the first time the women ever main evented a Monday Night Raw. So that was a big deal.
Yeah, big deal. Huge deal.
Yeah. Okay. And then go back to 2010. Santino Marella and Vladimir Kozlov won the WWE Tag Team Championships in Louisville, Kentucky.
Nice. History.
They won in a fatal four-way, which also featured the Usos, Heath Slater, and Justin Gabriel, Mark Henry, and Yoshitatsu. You know what I remember most about Vladimir Kozlov? That man loved double E.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to bring that up. Also, UFC announced that they signed WWE superstar CM Punk to a 2-fight contract in 2014.
Ouch.
CM Punk went on to lose both fights for the UFC and thus returned where he belonged, to the world of pro wrestling. Not initially WWE, but he did come back to
eventually he would make his way back, yeah.
Yes. All right, and then in 2020 we had the NXT WarGames, which took place in the Capitol Wrestling Center. And we had Team Candice versus Team Shotzi, and the Undisputed Era picked up a victory over Pat McAfee's team, which included Danny Burch, Oni Lorcan, and Pete Dunne. I did not see this event. I apologize.
I didn't either. Was this the first WarGames? Do you know if this was the first? Because it did start in NXT.
I am not sure. It's the fifth and final WarGames for NXT TakeOver.
Okay.
Triple H really loved those WarGames matches.
Pete Dunne, a.k.a. one of the El Grandes.
Yep, sure is. Also, we have some notable birthdays here. We have Nick Bockwinkel. Nick Bockwinkel was AWA World Champion. I don't know if that name rings a bell to you.
Yeah.
Nick Bockwinkel was a fantastic... I remember seeing him. He was good in the sense that, like, this guy was like the suit-wearing world champion. But I don't know if he was doing it before Ric Flair or whatnot. He was definitely doing it before Ric Flair, I think.
He's one of those big names from, like, back in that era.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the top guys from then.
I remember him wearing... I remember Jericho citing him as a big influence for his... 2008 heel turn against when Jericho was being the suit-wearing heel. Also, have you ever seen the movie Beyond the Mat?
Yes.
Do you remember Dennis Stamp?
No.
Dennis Stamp what ended up being the referee for Terry Funk's last retirement match for that film.
Okay.
He was the guy who was like training on the trampoline in his underwear.
Okay.
This is his birthday as well. So
happy birthday.
Unfortunately, I believe Dennis Stamp passed a few years ago, but yes, his legacy lives on in Beyond the Mat, where he was upset that he wasn't booked for that show, so he didn't want to be there. But Terry Funk begged him to be the referee, so he was the referee for that that match.
Nice.
That's all in this day in wrestling history.
Awesome. Well, good job, Slick Vic. Awesome stuff. Well, to recap, Survivor Series WarGames 2025, okay at best. But you know what the best thing about that entire event is? Slick Vic is perfect once again for the third time in a row of having Slick Vic's picks. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to bring this to a close if we can get a little gong going on here. And while I'm doing that, while I'm looking for the gong, I've got my volume turned completely all the way down. There we go. We're going to talk a little bit about next week and the week after and the week after, because we've got this all planned out. We're on top of things here at Wrestling with Power. Next week's episode is going to be our 20th. And as of right now, it's going to take place on schedule on December the 11th. So make sure you add us on Twitch and join us live on Twitch while we do our episode. Where we're, at least as of right now, we'll have some news for you. The SmackDown review, the Raw review, Slick Vic's picks coming back already. Are you ready, Slick Vic?
I will be.
Another round of Slick Vic's picks are going to be taking place next week when we look at Saturday night's main event, which will be John Cena's last match, taking place on December the 13th. And then we're going to be bringing another segment out of the vault, Cooking the Books, where this time we're going to be talking about, and something I've wanted to discuss for a while and I've touched on, WWE's main roster championships. So, changes, if any, to those titles, the way things are as we see them right now. We're going to be talking about that next week. Hopefully we get all of your input, all of our listeners out there. And then episode 21, which will take place on December the 18th. Obviously, we're going to have the review, the results of Slick Vic's picks, the Gigawatt ratings for Saturday night's main event where John Cena's last match happens. SmackDown review, Raw review. We're going to also be looking at the top 5 matches of 2025. So Vic is going to give you his. I'm going to give you mine. So that's going to be a fun episode. We're going to be talking about a lot there. The next week is Christmas. So we won't be here. We're going to be taking that week off. And then the next week after that is New Year's, which is up in the air. Probably be taking that week off too. But who knows? We'll see what happens. Depends on how many libations are involved.
Libations.
We got all kinds of content coming up for you here in the next couple of weeks, though, and hopefully you all join us over on Facebook, facebook.com/wrestlingwithpower, YouTube, where you can watch and listen along to all of our episodes that we do each week, youtube.com/@wrestlingwithpowerpodcast. Oh, that reminds me, by the way, Slick Vic, I talked about it before, how some jabron had taken the @WrestlingWithPower right on YouTube, and we couldn't get it. We had to put podcast on the end of it. Well, apparently that channel is no longer active, but I still can't get the name. I tried to steal the name, and it wouldn't let me. So I don't know what's going on there. But up in the air as of right now if we can secure that domain. But as it stands, we're still youtube.com/@wrestlingwithpowerpodcast. And of course on Spotify, just search us up on there, Wrestling with Power, where you can listen to all of our episodes going back to the very first. We are on the eve of our 20th episode, 20 weeks going strong here. And that's it. That's all we got for you guys. Slick Vic, anything you want to leave our illustrious listeners with?
Your soul is mine.
Damn, I wish I had a good soundbite to go with that.
Well, I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy New Year. I'm saying this kind of early. I should probably wait for a couple of weeks to say that, but I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I want to wish everybody, all of our listeners, the best. Wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. And stay powerful, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you next time.